Hello, I'm Charles Lewis and with Church of the Harvest. Marilyn shared a word yesterday, and in the word she asked a question. She asked, what condition is your heart in? Are you wholehearted for the Lord? Are you half-hearted? Is your heart divided? Or are you faint-hearted? She asked that question based on her study of the kings in the Old Testament. She mentioned, for example, King Asa. When he was younger, he was a hard charger for the Lord. He went ahead and tried to do the best he could to please God and to do those things that God would have him to do. And in so doing, he was blessed. But then towards the end of his life, he began to waver. He began to make decisions that were not wise decisions, or at least it would seem that way for those of us reading the Word now. And she encouraged us to go ahead and stir our hearts up in the Lord so that we walk wholehearted before Him at all times. Well, brothers and sisters, for those of us who live in the United States of America, we know that we really need to pray for our nation. You know, a thought to think here is this, is that because of the vicarious death on the cross and the shed blood, we know that God has not given us a spirit of fear. For the law of spirit of life in Christ Jesus has set us free from the law of sin and death. I'd like to read to you what Paul said in 1 Timothy chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. And he says, I exhort, first of all, that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks be made for all men. We're to earnestly pray for each other. We're to earnestly pray for our nation. We're to earnestly pray for all men. We're to pray for kings and those who are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and reverence. For this is good and acceptable in the sight of our God. But we're to pray for our leaders, so that the right decisions are made, so that the law of spirit of life in Christ Jesus is free to move about, to have its way here. On a more positive note, Scott and Alanna Jennings of Global Equipping Ministries are back in the United States now. Alanna had stated that the ministry is growing so fast over there, it's almost faster than they can handle it. One of the churches has tripled in size. The children's ministry was up to 500. 15 graduates had graduated from the Global Equipping Ministries school there. So things are humming in Africa. So we need to pray and thank the Lord for the apostolic calling that is upon Scott and Alanna Jennings. Well, there you have it. That's all I have for this week. God's a good God. He loves you and He cares for you. Know that we don't have to walk in a spirit of fear, but we can walk rejoicing, praising God for His goodness in our life.